You just said something that revealed everything about you. Not your words, not your tone, but the architecture of your mind. And here's what should terrify you. You didn't even notice. Right now, there are sentences living in your vocabulary, phrases you use daily, words that feel normal, even justified, that are broadcasting your weakness to every person within earshot. Your boss hears them. Your partner feels them. Your competitors smell them like blood in the water. The average man speaks roughly 16,000 words per day. But hidden within that river of language are 7 specific sentences, 7 verbal confessions, that separate the men who command respect from the men who quietly beg for it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But here's what the great emperor knew that most never will. Your thoughts become your words become your patterns, and your patterns become your prison. What I'm about to share with you isn't just philosophy. It's a diagnostic tool, a mirror that most men are too fragile to look into. By the end of this video, you will recognize these 7 sentences, what I call the verbal surrender patterns, and you will understand why each one is quietly destroying your power, your relationships, and your self-respect. More importantly, you will learn exactly what to say instead. But I must warn you, this content will make you uncomfortable, because there is a very high chance you said at least one of these sentences today. Let's begin. The philosophy of language and power. Before we expose these sentences, you need to understand something the Stoics grasped 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, born a slave who became one of history's greatest philosophers, taught that we have control over very few things in this life. Our actions, our judgments, and critically, our words. Everything else, outside our control. The weak man wastes his energy fighting against this truth. He complains about weather. He argues with traffic. He rages against circumstances. The Stoic, the man of genuine strength, directs his entire being toward what he can actually command. And nothing reveals where you stand on this spectrum faster than the sentences you speak. I call this principle linguistic sovereignty, the recognition that every word leaving your mouth is either a declaration of your power or an admission of its absence. There is no neutral ground. Every sentence you speak trains your mind to see yourself a certain way. Every phrase you repeat carves neural pathways that become automatic. Every word is a brick in the architecture of your identity. So when you use certain sentences that feel innocent, even reasonable, you are not just communicating. You are constructing. And most men are building their own cages without realizing it. Let's expose the first sentence. Sentence 1. It's not fair. Feel those words in your mouth. Feel how natural they seem. It's not fair that he got promoted. It's not fair that she left. It's not fair that I have to deal with this. The weak man says this sentence and feels justified. He believes he's making a legitimate observation about reality. But here's what he's actually doing. He's announcing to the universe, and everyone in it, that he expected the world to operate according to his preferences. Think about the arrogance hidden in that complaint. Think about the childishness embedded in that expectation. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. He watched plagues kill millions. He buried children. He faced betrayal from those he trusted most. And do you know what he wrote in his private journal, never meant for anyone else to read? What stands in the way becomes the way. Not "this isn't fair," not "I don't deserve this," but a complete reframing. The obstacle itself is the material for growth. The Stoic understands something the complainer never will. Fairness is not a feature of reality. It's a human invention, a story we tell ourselves. And expecting reality to conform to our stories is the definition of delusion. When you say it's not fair, you accomplish 3 things simultaneously. You advertise that you don't understand how life works. You position yourself as a victim rather than an agent. And you train your brain to look for injustice rather than opportunity. Every single time. What does the Stoic say instead? This is what is. Now, what can I do? Feel the difference. The first sentence is a complaint. The second is a strategy. The first puts you in the passenger seat of your own existence. The second grabs the wheel. 2 men face the same rejection. One says it's not fair. He stews. He ruminates. He tells the story of his victimhood to anyone who will listen. The other says this is what is, and immediately asks the only question that matters. What's my next move? Which man would you bet on? Sentence 2. They made me angry. This sentence is a complete surrender of your sovereignty disguised as an explanation. Listen to its structure. They, an external force. Made, causation. Me, the helpless object. Angry, your emotional state. In one sentence, you've announced that your internal world is controlled by external forces, that other people hold the remote control to your emotions, that you are a puppet and they are pulling the strings. The weak man says this sentence and believes he's describing reality. He genuinely thinks his anger was manufactured by someone else's actions. But Epictetus destroyed this illusion 2,000 years ago with 8 words. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. Read that again. Let it sink through every layer of self-deception. Nothing outside you can make you feel anything, ever. Between every stimulus and your response, there is a space. In that space lives your power, your freedom, your dignity. When you say, "They made me angry," you are erasing that space. You are pretending it doesn't exist. You are volunteering your freedom and handing it to whoever triggered you. I call this emotional outsourcing, the habit of assigning responsibility for your inner state to external circumstances. And it's a habit that guarantees suffering. Here's a story that illustrates the alternative. A Stoic philosopher named Cato the Younger was once physically struck in the Roman Senate, a profound public humiliation. His attacker expected rage. The crowd expected retaliation. Cato didn't raise his voice. He simply continued his argument as if nothing had happened. Later, someone asked him why he didn't respond to the insult. His answer has echoed through centuries. "I choose not to be harmed. Therefore, I am not harmed." Not, "He didn't really hurt me." Not, "I'm suppressing my feelings." But I choose. This is the Stoic shield, the understanding that between stimulus and response, you are the gatekeeper. What does the wise man say instead of "They made me angry"? I chose to become angry, and I can choose differently. This sentence terrifies the weak man because it places full responsibility exactly where it belongs, in his own hands. But it should excite you, because if you are the source of your emotional state, then you are also the solution. Sentence 3, "I'll start tomorrow." You've said this. You felt the relief of saying it, the temporary peace of postponement. But do you understand what this sentence actually is? It's not a plan. It's a drug. "I'll start tomorrow" gives you the emotional reward of commitment without the actual commitment. It's a neurological trick. Your brain gets the dopamine hit of imagining future action while your present self remains completely unchanged. This is why the same people say this sentence thousands of times about the same goals. Because the sentence itself feels like progress. Seneca, the great Stoic advisor to emperors, wrote words that should be tattooed on the inside of every procrastinator's eyelids. While we wait for life, life passes. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to you. Tomorrow is not owed to you. Tomorrow is a story you tell yourself to avoid the discomfort of today. And here's the brutal truth. The person you are tomorrow is being built by what you do today. If today you choose avoidance, tomorrow you will be a person who avoids. If today you choose delay, tomorrow you will be a person who delays. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are training yourself in the art of waiting. The weak man believes, "I'll start tomorrow" is a commitment. The Stoic recognizes it as an escape hatch, a psychological exit door that leads nowhere. I call this pattern the tomorrow trap, the illusion that future you has resources, motivation, and discipline that present you lacks. But future you doesn't exist yet. Present you is all there is. And present you is the only one who can act. What does the Stoics say instead? "I'll start now, imperfectly, with whatever I have." Notice the key word, imperfectly, because that's what the procrastinator is really avoiding, not the action itself, but the discomfort of doing it poorly. The Stoic begins badly, begins scared, begins uncertain, but begins, because a messy beginning today defeats a perfect beginning that never comes. Sentence 4, "That's just how I am." Stop. Feel the finality in those words. That's just how I am. The door closes. The locks engage. The key gets thrown away. The weak man uses this sentence as armor. He believes he's stating a fact about his fixed nature. He believes he's being authentic, honest, self-aware. But what he's actually doing is building a prison with his own words, and then defending the prison. "I have a bad temper. That's just how I am. I'm not good with people. That's just how I am. I can't handle confrontation. That's just how I am." Each sentence is a brick. Each repetition is mortar, and slowly, invisibly, the walls rise until change becomes not just difficult, but unthinkable. The Stoics had a different understanding of human nature. They believed we are not static creatures, but works in progress. They called the process of becoming better prokopton, the path of the advancing student. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Read that carefully. Your flaws are not permanent features. They are material. They are the raw substance from which strength is forged. When you say that's just how I am, you are abandoning the forge. You are refusing to do the work of transformation. You are mistaking your current condition for your permanent identity. And worse, you are asking everyone around you to accept your weakness as unchangeable fact. I call this the frozen identity, the belief that who you are today is who you must be forever. It's comfortable, it requires no effort, and it guarantees you will stay exactly where you are while life moves forward without you. What does the Stoics say instead? That's how I've been, but I'm working on something different. Do you feel the shift? The first sentence closes doors. The second opens them. The first is an endpoint. The second is a beginning. The wise man holds his identity loosely. He knows that character is not a given, but a creation, something built through daily choices, shaped through conscious effort, refined through struggle. You are not a finished product. You are a project, and the project continues until your final breath. Sentence 5. I need you to understand me. This sentence sounds healthy. It sounds like communication, like vulnerability, like emotional intelligence. It is none of these things. Listen carefully. When you say, I need you to understand me, you are placing the responsibility for your emotional well-being in someone else's hands. You are outsourcing your peace to another person's ability to comprehend your experience. And here's the devastating truth. Complete understanding between two human beings is impossible. No one can fully enter your consciousness. No one can see through your exact eyes. No one can feel precisely what you feel. When you need someone to understand you in order to feel okay, you're setting yourself up for permanent disappointment because the understanding you're seeking does not exist. The Stoics called this attachment to external validation prohairesis, placing your will at the mercy of things outside your control. The weak man needs agreement. He needs validation. He needs others to see his perspective before he can feel settled in it. The Stoic requires only his own clarity. Here's what I've observed in every truly powerful person I've studied. They explain themselves when useful. They communicate with skill, but they do not require understanding. They know their own reasons. They trust their own judgment. And if others fail to grasp their perspective, they continue forward anyway. What does the Stoics say instead? I'll share my perspective. What you do with it is your choice. This sentence preserves your sovereignty. It offers communication without dependence. It gives without requiring anything in return. The weak man speaks to be understood. The Stoic speaks to be clear, and lets understanding occur or not. Sentence 6. What will people think? Have you felt this question grip your throat before you speak? Have you felt it paralyze your hand before you act? This question has killed more dreams than failure ever did. Because failure is clean. Failure is information. You try, you fall, you learn, you rise. But what will people think never lets you reach the arena. It keeps you in the stands, watching others live while you calculate imaginary judgments from people who, in truth, are far too busy with their own lives to think about yours at all. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote this in his private journal. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Read that again. Let the absurdity sink in. You claim to value yourself. You claim to know yourself best. And yet you surrender your decisions to the imagined verdicts of people who barely register your existence. The weak man lives in a constant state of performance. He modifies his opinions, softens his edges, hides his true preferences, all to manage an audience that exists primarily in his own mind. I call this the phantom jury, the imaginary panel of judges that the weak man consults before every decision. The Stoic has no such jury. Or rather, his jury is a panel of one, his own conscience, measured against his own values. What does the Stoic say instead? Does this align with my values? Then forward. Notice what's absent: other people, their opinions, their approval, their understanding. The Stoic acts from internal alignment, not external management. He knows that respect is earned through authentic action, not through calculated performance. The man who asks, "What will people think?" is not respected. He is tolerated. The man who acts from conviction, who moves forward regardless of the crowd, earns the very respect the first man was desperately seeking. Sentence 7. I just want to be happy. This may be the most dangerous sentence of all, because it sounds so reasonable, so human, so universally shared. And it is also the perfect recipe for misery. Here's what the Stoics understood that modern self-help has completely forgotten. Happiness is not a goal. It is a byproduct. The moment you pursue it directly, it evaporates in your hands. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz, wrote, "Happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue. It must emerge as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself." The weak man chases happiness like a dog chasing its tail. He optimizes for comfort, pleasure, ease. He avoids difficulty, challenge, pain. And at the end of his life, he wonders why he feels so empty. The Stoic understands the paradox. A meaningful life includes suffering. It requires difficulty. It demands that you do hard things not because they feel good, but because they matter. When you say, "I just want to be happy," you reveal that you have confused sensation with substance, that you have mistaken feeling good for being good, that you have prioritized comfort over character. This is what I call the happiness trap, the pursuit of an emotional state rather than a meaningful life. What does the Stoic say instead? I want to live in a way that earns my own respect. This shifts everything. Respect is not an emotion. It's a relationship with yourself built through accumulated choices. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't rise and fall with the events of the day. A man can lose everything and still respect himself. He can face tragedy and remain intact, because his foundation isn't feeling. It's alignment between his values and his actions. The happy man is fragile. His state depends on conditions he cannot control. The self-respecting man is anti-fragile. He grows stronger through pressure because pressure is his proving ground. The transformation before you've now heard 7 sentences, 7 verbal confessions, 7 patterns that, until now, may have been invisible to you. Let me name them one final time. It's not fair. They made me angry. I'll start tomorrow. That's just how I am. I need you to understand me. What will people think? I just want to be happy. Each of these sentences points power away from you. Each assigns control to circumstances, to others, to time, to nature, to the crowd, to a fleeting emotional state. The Stoic project is the opposite, to point power back to yourself, to recognize that you, your choices, your judgments, your words, are the only domain you truly govern. Here is where you stand at this moment. Behind you is every time you've spoken these sentences, every moment you've surrendered your sovereignty without knowing it. Every day you've built the cage one brick at a time. That's behind you. Before you is a choice. You can return to the comfortable vocabulary of victimhood. You can keep saying what feels natural. You can remain exactly who you've been. Or you can begin the reconstruction of your language. And through language, the reconstruction of yourself. The Stoics knew that philosophy is not about what you know. It's about what you practice. Wisdom without application is merely decoration. So here is your practice. For the next 7 days, catch yourself. When it's not fair rises in your throat, replace it. When they made me angry begins to form, intervene. When I'll start tomorrow offers its seductive escape, refuse. This is not about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about interrupting patterns that have run on autopilot for years. And slowly, sentence by sentence, choice by choice, you will become someone different. Someone who speaks from power rather than weakness. Someone whose words build rather than imprison. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The same applies here. Waste no more time wondering what a powerful man sounds like. Become one. The words you speak today will become the thoughts you think tomorrow, which will become the person you are next year. Choose them carefully. If this video shifted something in you, consider subscribing. These ideas go deeper than one video can hold, and I'll be here when you're ready for more. Now close this screen and speak differently.